This podcast is brought to you by LOETB Community Education and Adult Literacy for Life.
Just for the record, it started from cycling. And one of the, you saw it earlier on there, one of the first events that kind of drew us all together was 2011, when all the bicycles came together to have the biggest collection of high nellies. Bob organised the highest nellies in Ireland. And out of that, I suppose a few of us got together, Noel was here, Huey and a few of us got together, and we organised a bicycle challenge around Laois, a 5-day cycle around Laois to raise funds for Laois Hospice. It actually is extraordinary the way things have gone. But the challenge was to cycle around Laois on a high nelly for 5 days without passing the pub. Now when I say without passing the pub, physically not a cycle past the pub. We went into a few pubs already, but we didn't actually physically pass the pubs. You had to use your head.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Ger Sheppard was the inspiration for the thing, as he's for so many things. So we went and done the 5 days, and we finished up in Durrow at the end of the 5 days. However money we got went to Laois Hospice. And we were having a few pints here at the bar one evening after it, and Huey produced his book, Rambles in Air. It was written by William Bulfin. And William Bulfin cycled around Ireland in 1902. He actually done it for 3 years. I think it was 1905 before he finished his tour. He came back from Argentina after being 7 years in Argentina, bought a bike that was made in Pierce's of Wexford, cycled around Ireland, and in 1907 he produced a book, Tales from his cycle around Ireland, Rambles in Air, and it was a bestseller. He's from Durrow in Offaly. And Huey produced this one night at the bar out there in Bob's, where we are this evening, and we were looking at it, and the conversation went on around it, and we decided we'd try and recreate one of his trips. And one of his cycles was from Durrow, where he was born and reared, up into the Slieve Looms. So we created it, I think it was 2014, I think, from memory. But anyway, we cycled from Durrow into Bor. We had a talk about the history of Bor, cycled on to Roscrea, the history of Roscrea, and cycled on up into the Slieve Looms via Commerce. Which was a guy by the name of Joyce, Tom Joyce, gave us a talk about the Slieve Looms. That was kind of the start of the Bulfin cycle. And from the Bulfin cycle, it was people coming from Ireland, after a couple of years coming from all over Ireland to cycle on no bikes. So we bought 10 bikes originally as a club, and hired the bikes out to these guys that come from...
High nellies?
Well, they were high nelly type bikes, so modern high nellies.
Okay.
And we called them actually pedal vintage. And we started a bike hire, a small bike hire, community bike hire business out of it, here in Durrow. We have a little shed up the town there, belonging to this man here. From that, it grew another business, if you like, I don't know what way you describe it. This group of lads, and older, some of them are over 80 years of age, we cycle every Monday on these bicycles.
Retired group.
A retired group, retired men.
Active retired.
Active retired men. And we call them boys the Rotar Rogues. We put a title, Rotar Rogues. And we decided to register them as a men's shed. So they're actually officially a men's shed on wheels, because they're on bicycles.
Amazing.
Yep, that's how it all started. That's how it got into the way it is. And we have it every Monday, and we have what you had a few minutes ago, this great crack telling stories and yarns and reminiscences.
Banter.
Yep.
In all of that, obviously the ethos of the men's shed grabbed you in terms of the interest that it piqued in you, and you said, right, okay, maybe we can get stuck in here. Yeah. With this, because you had been doing work in the community anyway. Yeah.
Everybody here is actively involved.
As an extension of that, this is where we're going to go with this. Did you get support? Like, did you get help? Did anybody row in behind you?
There would be different fundraising things, and the council.
Are you the only one that's homeless? Not homeless, because this is your home. Bob's but and it's a beautiful home, by the way, Bob. Welcoming me here this afternoon, absolutely superb. The setting, the surroundings. I'm not even going to begin to describe it. I would urge anybody, if they haven't dropped into Bob's Bar in Durrow, do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
By virtue of our activities, we don't actually need a place. We need a place to store our bicycles. We meet up, could take a half an hour to get away. There'll be a few yards.
People wouldn't shut up talking.
Very important.
Most important. And then when we mount the bikes, we might have to decide where we're going to go. That could take another few minutes.
Okay.
So, and then we'll head off and we'll pick a coffee shop somewhere. So we'll visit a coffee shop and we'll stop there, and it could be an hour, and if it was raining it could be a bit longer, and depending.
What is it, you can tell me like socially that it's very significant and a very important thing to do, but what does it mean to you as individuals to be part of that greater group, I guess you could say, but to even be just part of something like that?
Well, sure, if I could just add, I pick up on the news of the area that I normally wouldn't pick up on at all if I wasn't involved.
Really?
Because I'm not a visitor to Bob's or any other bar. I don't drink.
Okay.
So things would happen around. People would get married and people might even die and be buried, and I wouldn't know anything about it. But if you're in this group, someone will pop up with it somewhere.
You'll get it.
You know, somebody's ill or somebody's married or whatever.
And get it.
And Pat gives us all an open sport.
Do you, Pat? Tell me about that. Are you involved in the?
No, I'm at the moment. I'm sorrowfully involved with Kilkenny, who regularly get hammered now.
That's by the reaction around the table there. That's a bit of a.
They're all jeering me. They're delighted that Kilkenny are being hammered.
We all love Kilkenny.
The first morning I joined the cycling, and the only reason I became aware of it was because I think I overheard a conversation between Hughie and somebody else, and the bikes were mentioned. And I had already got a loan of a bike from that to try it out myself on the roads, and I found cycling on my own a bit of a drag. So this appealed to me, and I came down and I joined them, and sure, the first morning I arrived in, I was afraid they were going to beat me up. But as it happened, they didn't beat me up at all. They actually let me go. But we were cycling to Abbey Leaks. We were going directly to the coffee at that time. About a half mile at this side of the coffee dock. Myself and Hughie, who had given birth to the whole thing, you could say, were having a little chat, and I was actually asking him about the age profile of the group. You know, we reckon they're around 68 to 73 or 4, and a few more up along older than that. And I said, would you believe I'm 70 this morning? Which I was. It was a Monday morning, and I was actually 70 that morning. Within minutes, like we went in and had the coffee, and they were just up in front of us. And next thing I heard is, happy birthday to you. He had it organised like that. A cake with a candle on it out in front of me. And I was absolutely flummoxed.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Were you flummoxed because of the generosity of spirit, the openness, or the fact that even
all of the above. All of the above, yeah.
And the speed of it.
Yeah.
And by pure coincidence, two of my sisters-in-law, who just happened to be in the coffee dock the same morning, and I turned around, the two sisters of my wife's were there having coffee. And of course, they got involved in the bit of a gallery then for the few minutes that went on.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we have to say we didn't know he was from Kilkenny at the time.
I think that Hughie was involved in this.
Yeah.
It's going to be, how would you call it? Certainly not in any way excitable, and low key, and it'll be warm and gentle. Now, we from time to time, we hammer one another above the shed, but I don't mean literally, but
verbally.
If you deserve a kick in there, you'll get one verbally.
Okay, right, you won't be done with raving at it, right, okay. Tell me about what goes on. I mean, that banter is a very,
It could be about anything, but I just want to tell you, Hughie, the man that kind of started it all, he's not very well at the moment. He's in hospital fighting a big battle. It's kind of putting a bit of a damper on us all.
Well, our thoughts are with him. And hopefully,
You asked the question before, did anybody help us? We have to acknowledge Laois Leader.
Yeah.
Because we got generous funding from Laois Leader. And the other big supporter of ours was the credit union, the local credit union, as was at the time. It's now part of St. Canice's credit union, which is kind of Kilkenny and Laois. But they were very helpful.
What about that connection within the community itself here? I mean, that obviously something like what you're doing here reverberates throughout the community. How well is that?
But you see in those photographs out there the number of people that got involved down the years. Yeah.
How long are you in existence, you might be asking? How long are you?
Well, Bob really got it all run, the High Nelly.
It was 2008.
Wait, what's it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And is it 2008? But then the men's shed idea, when did that come? Only in the last few years? Or
we were doing what the men's shed do, and we joined them officially last year.
Gotcha. Because you were already, you were precursor to the men's shed.
We were calling ourselves men shed
Well,
on
we
wheels.
were calling
even though we
ourselves
weren't
men shed on
registered.
wheels before.
We eventually contacted them and
God.
could we register? We didn't think we could. But it turned out that we could, yeah.
Lovely.
So we actually, there's nobody in Ireland. There's no men shed on wheels in Ireland, nor in Britain, and nor Australia. There is one. I can find one in India, but it's actually not a registered men shed. But they do something quite similar to what we
How
do.
did they even get the idea that you could have a men's shed on wheels? Who come up with that?
Huey Sheppard.
Who was man Huey?
Who was it over there? Huey?
And what was his vision at that time?
The vision, honestly, the vision is just to go out and have cycle around and explore and enjoy.
For physical health and mental health.
Yeah. And encourage people to become a part of it.
God, we're
Yeah.
the
Doors
whole-
open
Yes, absolutely.
because of the reasons that you mentioned there.
Yeah.
Very important reasons, especially where men are concerned. The sharing of the story.
Now we have cycle sisters as well. We should say like the bikes are available to women if they want to use them. You know, and we have a group now. They haven't started back this year. We started officially last Monday. There was a few of us cycle all the winter. We don't give it up. But officially we started back last Monday. But the girls will start back probably in April or early May, and they do it of an evening after work. A lot of them are working.
Be a younger generation.
Well,
Yeah.
they don't mind getting on high nelly like.
No.
Now we have
No.
progressed as well in that, as I said, some of us are more than 70 years of age, so we've acquired a few electric bikes as well, and we have.
How do you find them? Well, I mean, obviously.
They're spoiling the bikes, you know.
The range. Well, you see, even though there's loads of areas that we cycle around here, it gets a little bit monotonous after a while. If you're doing the same one year in, year out, now we can go on more challenging ones. Because there's some of these hills to get out of the area.
The thing is, because of our age, we sometimes forget to turn on the batteries. We're pushing like the devil and wondering what's wrong. But that goes with the age.
We actually organised a trip for us last year down to Killarney,
Right.
so we went down with the bikes.
You
Actually, we heard a little
How
bit.
do you bring them with you?
No, we didn't. We didn't bring those
No,
that
those-
particular
Oh,
trip.
okay,
But we
okay.
have brought them on other trips to the
trips.
Greenways. You know,
Not an easy thing to transport a high nelly or
we have a trailer.
or the
trailer.
like.
Yeah, we need a trailer. And
Would
we
you have a trailer for
yeah,
them?
Yeah, one of the lads that was his trailer for.
Jacksy's trailer, isn't it?
Jacksy's
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
we do greenways and things like that, and
Yeah.
blueways, and stay out a night or two.
And if you were to encourage another group, for example, if there was another group that was half thinking of maybe we'd love to set up a shed with a difference. We don't have to be static, but the spirit of the shed is that, as I said, inclusivity, and the spirit of the shed is openness and generosity, but also a place where people socially can share stories and share thoughts, which is really important. To have discussions, even though there's banter, to have discussions and to feel.
Well, the health issues haven't been hidden.
No.
They're actually being discussed.
Tell me about that.
Well, there was a number of us had different issues, and it nearly all came together in the last year, really.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
you know.
As it generally, as it often does with men.
Well, yeah. I mean, heart and cancer and knees and
Ladders.
and shoulders. And you couldn't credit it out of the small group of guys that were perfect 18 months ago.
What have you a theory on that?
Just the clock, I think.
The clock?
The mileage.
Older.
You don't have a conspiracy theory on it?
No.
It didn't come from COVID.
No.
Okay, right, fair enough. Then. It didn't come from locking ourselves up for 2.5 years.
Yeah, well,
we have a few of those as well.
Yeah.
Right. But tell me about that conversation that you're able to have now. How different that might be from the previous generations. Would they have even spoken about?
Yeah.
Not at all. They'd never been mentioned before.
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
They probably wouldn't even go to the doctor. Some of the older generation.
That's the vitalness of a men's shed.
Yeah.
It's the environment that you're providing.
Yeah.
It's a safe environment, it's a nurturing environment, it's a welcoming environment.
Yes.
That people feel they can have a conversation.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes. The opportunity is there to have it when you meet up, which the previous generations didn't really have to the same extent. They might have had met at Trashins or something like that and they'd have a chat. But like when you're going out every week with, and maybe a couple of times a week on some occasions, you get to know people and you can discuss and talk, and it is very valuable.
It doesn't save you from being slagged either, though.
No, it does not.
You don't get a free pass from that.
Mostly it's very civilised, but the kind of
I think the highlight of the thing is the nights away. When we actually pack up and go somewhere, and it goes longer than the day, and it goes longer than the few hours.
Okay.
That you really have to stick it out for the whole day and the night.
Yeah.
And the bit of the banter at night then, and sing song, and you're cycling and you're down around, maybe doing the greenway between Abbeyfield and Listowel, or or you're going from Newcastle to the Newcastle West down into Abbeyfield, and that's great. The greenways are great when you can get a group of lads and go down and then stay the night,
and that's where the bonding is. And where that sharing of that story becomes even deeper, rather than just a passing conversation. You grow friendship.
Yeah.
Your friendship gets it into a deeper spot.
And it's something that attracts people to look at people on bikes.
Yes.
Because you don't meet anyone on bikes now. Like what you meet, like ye or those. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just that. So I go to the Aaron Islands there, and I bring my own bike, and the man says, "Hey, geez, where did you get the way?"
How do you bring the bike up to the Aaron Islands?
I bring it in the back of the car.
Come on, Jackson.
Here comes Jackson. This is Jackson.
This is Jackson.
Jackson. Welcome.
You've been spoken of.
Yeah.
All good though.
This is the hub of the wheel.
People are always curious because if we pull up at a coffee shop yonder in Freshford or Mount Rath or somewhere, and we're fixing the bikes before we go to the coffee, people passing by will automatically stop and ask us about the bikes, unknown to themselves. Ask us what we're doing, why we dress the same with the singlets and the bikes, and what it's about,
Do you have a uniform?
So it's not a really uniform, but the high vis has a bit of advertisement on the back of it and all that,
So
And then special.
I don't know how much sponsorship goes into it, but
He's so very.
Is it a bar?
Huh?
No, you're missing a
He's the next one in line.
I get great enjoyment out of it. Love it every Monday morning. Great for your health, and
Look forward to it.
I do indeed. Yeah.
We told them there's no slagging.
No, you can't slag it. Wrong. No bad language. Totally out.
And we just discovered we're all non-smokers.
Yeah.
actually, if any of us had been smoking, I don't think we'd be doing what we're doing. I used to smoke up to about 35, and when the eldest of my family came to around 4 or 5, I decided I'd just give it up. So I did. But if I had been smoking all those years, there's no way would I be going cycling every Monday morning. I'd probably be dead.
Yes.
I'd be dead.
But just to go back to two things that Bobby and Matt had said, the Bulfin cycle, we came to the Slieve Blooms, we came back down to Durrow, where on that book, Brambles and Erin, he referred to Durrow as a pearl in the valley of the Nore. So, but when he left Bulfin, when he left Durrow, he went down to Mullinahone. So we cycled down to Mullinahone. We spent a couple of nights down there, Crockenour, just outside Mullinahone. But on the Sunday, we cycled to Mass, I remember, and all these old bikes around the church gable end, and people came out, and it was like old times, you know. It was fascinating, and I do remember that myself as a youngster.
The young lads took the bikes. Remember that? Took the bikes up and were going around the village on the bikes with the legs out through the bar.
Under the bar.
Is there any other High Nelly association or group in Ireland, or are you the only one?
There's one around Rossnellis.
Tunnesley.
So it's a County Laois thing.
Yeah. Well, there's Cavan is fairly good at it too. They have a couple of.
Tunnesley now very strong. They go cycling every. They have cycles. We go up and then we join them up there, and they're all mad to come down. There's some of them Tunnesley boys that have maybe 20 bikes.
Yeah. Oh, they're collectors.
They're collectors as well. They love it.
Really?
There's one in Virginia and Cavan as well.
Yeah. And we had a couple of lads come up from Kerry to do the Bulfin cycle, and they were big into the bikes, like, and restoring bikes and so on,
People came from Austria one year. Was it Austria?
Yes, we went out to Austria.
Austria, that was another adventure.
Did you?
Yeah.
Cycling in
There's
Austria?
a cycling festival in Austria in a place called Entebbe. Yeah,
Something like that, yeah.
And we went out to it. It was a massive festival. It was bigger than we realised when we went out.
How were you received when you went out?
Unbelievable. The mayor came out and measures and welcomed, and we were up on this big stage and this huge. I remember the marquee in Durrow. Remember the marquee in the carnival? This was about 5 times the size of the Marquee the Carnival. There was thousands of people in it, and we were brought up on the stage, and you think we were
celebrities,
Pope or somebody that were just winning mad.
That must have made you feel pretty good.
Unbelievable.
Like in terms of what you were doing and
When
the
we were,
importance of what you were doing.
doing the actual cycle with them, the publicans were all running out to the Irish crowd with bottles of beer, giving us bottles of beer. We got drunk after 10 minutes. It was unreal. Yeah. We were celebrities when we went overseas to men's sheds in Kerry. And he came to meet us. He was very interested in what we were doing because he said the men's sheds in Kerry were fed up making bird boxes and benches and that they couldn't sell because of Aldi. Aldi were producing these cheap ones, you know. And he was trying to get the men's sheds in Kerry interested in doing something more active than what they were doing and more useful. And he thought we were
great
He
example.
actually came to meet us in John Keane.
Billy
Keane's pub.
Billy
Keane's
Really?
Think of less of the summer wine, and then that's all.
Crazy. They're enjoying the
Well,
scenery.
if you're cycling along and you see something, everyone else will pull up, and there'll be no rush.
Yeah.
And we could be looking at a swan like we never saw one before.
Yeah.
We could be looking at a hawk.
You've got time.
It could be anything.
I'd often suggest, even in company, that anybody who has any, they call them head problems or anything like that, to watch Last of the Summer Wine instead of watching EastEnders. They're total opposites.
I'd go along with it.
It's just so relaxing, and the scenery and the gallery between the three bayous. And sure, it's not to the gallery with these gang here.
No.
It's a pity Hughie's not here. I was just about to say that because he'd be able to double up on all the stories. The main driving force.
I beg your pardon.
And not only that, but Hughie, like, he's a creative type, which the rest of us are not really. He's creative and sort of. He'd write a song or a poem, like.
Would he?
He'd oftentimes he'd make us gather round like this, and he'd take out his bundle of papers. You'd hear him coming with a bundle of papers, and he'd have a poem written. You know,
what would he write the poem about? Any subject?
One was one of the lads went off to G's jam factory, jam.
Okay.
So he bought this pot of jam for his wife.
G's
jam.
Where are they now?
They're Ballinackill.
Ballinackill, one second.
Across the road.
Between Ballinackill and Durrow. So he bought this lovely pot of jam. So the pot of jam went missing.
On the way home.
Okay.
So then there was a whole big palaver about this pot of jam. So a few weeks later, this pot of jam was being replaced, but it was replaced with the wrong pot of jam.
Marmalade.
The next thing
not the same thing.
The next thing he discovered, it wasn't his pot of jam, so he thought this jam was dosed, so he binned it. So then I was telling him the pot of jam was made by Matt's wife, and he says, "This is the exact jam my wife loves. Whatever you do, don't tell her about this pot of jam." So it went on for 6 weeks, wasn't it?
Well, 6 weeks ago.
But Hughie wrote this big poem about this pot of jam. So this is your nonsense, you know.
Have you got it?
Not here.
Not here now.
But it is kept.
Oh yeah, Hughie.
And would he recycle it himself?
Oh, he would.
Would he? Yeah.
And he'd sing a song.
Yes.
He would, or I think he even write a song.
Oh, he did, yeah. Sure, he
wrote
a poem about the Hardy book.
That was
the hurling.
I have that at home away. I got that framed, yes. I got that framed.
What
I have it at home.
Pat was talking about on the opposing team to be a good player, and they get the Hardy book to go on them just to neutralise them. Yeah.
Break him in half before he scores any more goals.
Yeah.
We went on a spin one Monday morning over to Billy Dullard. Billy Dullard is over in Knockaroo. Billy is a musician and an artist in his studio, and to Hughie again organised it to go over to Billy Dullard. We cycled over, beautiful morning, absolutely gorgeous morning.
How far is that cycle?
A dozen miles.
10 or 15 miles.
Yeah, it was out there. No, sorry, it's not there. It's not
It's far enough, isn't it?
Anyway,
not too bad.
we cycled over and into his lawn. He let us in to look at his studio first, and we were looking around the studio. Beautiful pictures and everything. But he had a feast organised outside. He had a big table, and there was coffee and tea and sandwiches and scones and
everything.
sausages, everything you could eat. All left out in the sunshine, and seats left out. And we were sitting there, and he was sitting down, and Billy produced the guitar, and his friend, I can't remember his name, an accordion. And they surely did an hour of a concert for us.
And then he came out with cases of beer to us.
The guy with the accordion...
Was he singing his own music, or is he singing covers?
Covers. But the guy with the accordion, when they were going to play it, he kind of gave you the history of who wrote it or why it was about. Very simple and very quickly. But he played the derriere on the accordion. And he
Okay.
said, I'm not going to sing it because nobody's fit to sing it. And this gentleman here says, I'll sing it for you, boys. We didn't know, like the bass that could
you?
smoke, huh?
Did you sing it?
We
You
had
did
no
a great
idea.
job of it.
Unbelievable.
It's a beautiful song.
Oh, geez.
It is.
I recorded it. I have it on record. I happened to be lucky enough. I recorded it, and I sent it to the man's wife that night on the phone, and she rang me, and she said he has never sang for his family.
Who, man?
Pat.
Have you not, Pat?
I have, but that's about the only song I know, so I
There wasn't one playing.
have a butcher to this. But the true lads that day, they were really good musicians. But aside from the music and the singing, they were two grand chaps to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
There was a grand rapport between the two.
A peddling poetry
Well,
day.
that was last year. Yeah.
Last year. So you cycle around and then you read a poem, and a poem would be read from the area or connected to the area or connected to somebody. But we had the Ukrainians with us, and we ended up out having a coffee someplace, and they stood up and they sang and had their poetry and everything, and in Ukrainian. And
I was under a bridge out the road. They're actually repairing them at the moment, called the Wooden Bridges. There's two bridges quite close to one another.
Yeah.
They're wooden construction. They're being repaired at the moment. But one morning I was out, and I was doing a totally different job. I was down in under the bridge, minding my own business, and I heard a man passing, singing, and I looked out. And there's this man here on a bicycle, and he's singing for himself going along. I looked up the road.
Percy Friends.
I do like Percy Friends.
Yeah. What would your go-to Percy Friends song?
You're right, like.
Bobby would go cycling in nearly every morning, didn't you,
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah.
Practically every morning.
I would, yeah.
This is our organiser for trips. So
Yeah.
he probably has it in the head there.
Where are you going next? Where are you going next?
We're going to Kenmare.
Oh, lovely. Kenmare.
Yeah.
He has it in hand.
Good luck for you. What, do you have to do the
No,
logistics
no,
of
I have
it?
a daughter down around that
Oh, do
country
you?
and
Do you?
she
Well,
organised
lovely
it.
part of the world.
Same good as it gets.
He claimed he'd done it all until we went down and we realised it was his daughter was doing everything.
Actually organises and we go, and then he gets about 3 weekends then, himself and the wife.
Nice.
And he does it.
As you can see, you don't get away with much.
No, nothing. Yeah. You wouldn't want to step out of line. You'd be brought back.
That's what he gets for doing the work.
Well, long may it last. That's all I say about it. The worst news I could get is that we're going to wind it down. I hope it stays going on until they slip into the grave.
Your health is your wealth. So that's what it says.
I'd say no to you. Is anyone listening into it, you know, if anybody ever wants to come for a day, for one spin, or come down and see what we do, they're most welcome. Just contact Bob here in Bob's Bar.
Make any inquiries whatsoever.
Yeah.
We'll help out anyway we can.
We see where we help each other.
No, we actually have a website, believe it or not. We have a website, bulfincycle.com.
BULFIN?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cycle or cycling?
CYCLE.
We allow lads in from Kilkenny, we'll surely allow lads
Yeah,
from
that's sweet. Yeah. We will share a song.
Get that
We may share a song the next time I'm here.
Lovely leash.
Yeah.
We'll sing it.
I sang it too hard.
Give each other a clap. Will you?